and welcome back to another show of the New and Experienced Real Estate Investor Podcast. I'm Alex Barnett. I'm one of your hosts. I'm the new guy.
And I'm Joe Holmes, and I guess I'm the experienced guy or the old guy, whatever you want to say.
There's no way to get around it, man. Sorry.
Whatever it is. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're super stoked today. We have an in-studio guest, James Park. We're really excited because we're talking about a topic that's near and dear to my heart. That is mobile home investing. So we'll be covering mobile home investing, mobile home park investing, and just real estate investing in general. So thank you for being a part of the show. And before we start, please share this on wherever you're seeing it right now, Facebook or YouTube. Share it with your audience, anyone interested in real estate investing. So, James, how you doing?
Doing great. Glad to be here.
Awesome. So let's just jump on into it. Let's give people your intro. What were you doing before real estate and kind of what got you into it?
I think what got me into it when I was in my mid-20s was I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, just like a bunch of people do. That's how a lot of people get started. I'm no different. I started my career in consulting, so I worked for Deloitte Consulting, KPMG, FTI Consulting, where you just have to travel all over the country every week. So I had a family, but I'd have to leave Monday morning and come back on Friday. But over a period of about 15 or 20 years, I was investing part-time on the side. And then about 5 years ago at a job that I got laid off. So I was trying to figure out what to do. Couldn't find another job that was suitable. So I just decided to go full-time with the real estate.
Wow. Okay. So that just kind of forced you into it. Did you look for another job or?
I did.
Okay.
It took me like 6 months.
Okay. Nice. There you go. Sometimes you get pushed and, it's kind of inspiring to see if you just, you're betting on yourself at that point. And, you're saying I can do this on my own and, taking the leap.
Yeah, the first year was actually really challenging, but we got over the hump and it's been great since.
Okay. What was challenging about that first deal?
Well, it wasn't the first deal. It was the first year.
Oh, first year. Gotcha.
Yeah, we just don't have any income coming in.
Sure.
You don't have a lot of working capital.
Gotcha.
So to put together, to scrape the money up,
okay,
just to buy a property was really tough, but
gotcha.
We made it.
Yeah, and looking back now, what would you have done different if someone is in that same position?
I think I would have spent a lot of time trying to find partners or investors to work with.
Okay.
So we were basically using our own funds to buy the flips, and when you don't have any money coming in, it's kind of hard to part with the savings that you have. And but whatever the case is, we made it work. But I would definitely encourage people to go out and find money partners.
Okay, great. And you're using money partners currently?
Yeah. I have one main private investor that I work with.
Awesome. So how does that relationship happen? How can people, people always say that partner with, get private money. What are the steps do you think that, people should take?
So I think the way that most people do it correctly is that they reach out to friends and family, kind of tell them what you do. Mm-hmm. So I can tell you that if you ask any one of my close friends what I do, they can tell you vaguely what I do.
There you go.
But not in detail.
Sure.
So I think approaching friends and family is usually the best way to do it. That's not how I did it. I just spoke to a few agents that work with other investors, and that kind of led me to calling up the people that they use for private investors, and I found my guy that way.
Okay. Yeah, I guess it's, telling everybody at that point. It's just, making yourself known of what you're doing. And I think in the beginning, was that hard for you to go from I'm a consultant to now I'm real estate investing? People maybe knew you from your past as the consultant guy, and then now you're like, oh no, I'm in real estate investing. Was that like a hard transition for you?
From the perspective of letting people know?
Yeah, just letting people know and, letting your friends and family know, or...
Yeah, I don't think that my friends and family really knew. I just kind of did it.
Yeah.
So if you talk to my parents and I told them I was doing something on my own, they would have highly discouraged it.
Okay.
I don't think they even like it to this day, to be honest.
So your business model, it's not that you're partnering up with somebody. You're just basically asking them to lend you money to purchase these deals that you end up flipping at the end of the day. Correct. Okay. Okay. So it's not a because Alex and I partner up on deals, so it's a little bit different than that. You're trying to use this money just to purchase a property because you have the expertise, obviously, and you have the contractors, and you have the real estate knowledge to go in there and buy low and sell high at the end of the day.
Exactly.
So that's kind of your business model. And also the other question I have for you is, and we had lunch before this, and we talked about it at lunch. I've really never had a lot of success in sending out mailers. But when I was talking to you a couple of days ago, and at lunch again, you do a lot of mailers.
That's all I do. That's the only marketing that I do.
Okay.
I've thought about doing other things like online, pay-per-click stuff. I've actually tried to do text blasts and what do you call it? Where they blast voicemails out.
Yeah.
Ringless voicemail.
Yeah, ringless RVM, yeah. So, but it just never worked out. So I'm kind of just sticking with what I know how to do and what works.
Okay. And so you pull a list, let's say, and then you either do it by hand, sending these letters out, or do you have a company that does this?
I have a company that specializes in doing direct mail for real estate investors.
Okay.
They're called REI Print Mail.
Okay.
And they're actually the ones that kind of recommended the format that I use. So if you look at any of the postcards, it's always a big, giant pink postcard.
Okay.
I figure that stands out.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as the wording is concerned, they're the ones who recommended how to word it. So they do all the work.
Okay. And so why do you think that you're successful doing this with this particular market or group or whatever? What makes you successful doing postcards where I'm not as successful?
That's hard to say. I don't know why you haven't had success. I think that we talked about this at lunch, but a lot of my sellers are typically older people, elderly folks. So I don't know the exact age, but you can kind of just tell over the phone if they're older. And I think that a lot of older people just don't use technology, so they're not going to be on Facebook or on Google looking for someone to buy their house cash. And a lot of times it's all about just hitting people at the right time. So maybe I send them 10 postcards in a row, and then the 11th time they're ready to sell, and I happen to hit their mailbox at that right.
Okay, so you're doing a lot of follow-up, it sounds like.
I mail the same lists over and over again, probably once a quarter.
Okay.
Yeah, and it doesn't change too much from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. That's just amazing that, we've talked about this before. I may not have any luck doing mailers, but here's a perfect example of somebody who's having a lot of success. And a lot of success. You've done about how many properties now you've flipped?
In the 5 years, probably 50 or so.
Yeah. So yeah, that's successful. And then you also told us at lunch about actually buying a mobile home park, and that's out of state. Can you tell the viewers what it is that you did and how you did that?
Yeah, it's kind of a long story, but I decided at one point that I wanted to get into mobile home parks. So it's a totally different thing from my flipping business. That's just like house flipping. So the parks are like income property. I attended a boot camp called Mobile Home University by Frank Rolfe, who teaches like over a 3-day period everything you need to know supposedly about how to buy mobile home parks. And I looked for something to buy in California because I live in California, and just couldn't find anything at all that made any financial sense. None of them cash flowed. So once I started to think about investing out of state, I jumped on Craigslist and all these a million different websites, and I found something on Craigslist. There was a lady who got a mobile home park in a divorce sale or a divorce proceedings, and she wanted to get rid of it. So I emailed her and I asked her what her price was because she didn't list it, and she said you could have it for what I owe the bank, essentially a zero down deal. So that was exciting. So I called the bank and said, hey, can I take over this loan? And they said, yeah, as long as your credit score is good, fill out the application. And they did. And they let me take over the loan. So I got in for nothing down.
Wow.
And
Was that a local bank? It wasn't a huge Chase or Bank of America.
No.
Had to be something local.
Small local bank.
Yeah, and I've done the first deal that I ever got was very similar to that. It was a condo, a divorce situation, take over my payments. But back then, we didn't even have to qualify. Back then, it was like, yeah, okay, Joe's paying the mortgage now, and Alex does a lot of subject to deals, and that's the way we do it now. Subject to, we don't even let the bank know that we're paying the mortgage, but as long as they're getting their money, they really don't care. But you went that extra step. Now is that loan in your name now?
It's in my name.
Okay, yeah. So you definitely went that extra step. The deal that we just put under contract is a no money down deal, but that's all subject to. Nothing's ever going to appear in our names. It's just a different way to do it. So anyways, you bought that one, no money down, looking on Craigslist, from California. Amazing. Amazing. Just amazing. And I talked to a lot of people. We recently met again through Bigger Pockets because you're looking for people to, business partners to fund your deals. Yep. So if there's anybody out there that has private money that wants to deal with James here, we're going to leave his contact information there. Please reach out to him. He's done 50 deals. I talked to him at length. Again, we had lunch. I pretty much know when somebody knows what they're talking about. James knows what he's talking about. So, either reach out to me, to Alex, or James directly. He's looking for some funds to, purchase some other deals. So then you've got this deal, this mobile home park closed, and then you were telling us about another one.
Yeah, so I was really excited. I'd never owned a park, and I don't know a soul in Indiana, but I got a phone call from some lady who said, I heard that you bought this small mobile home park over here without seeing it. Would you be interested in mine? So it's in this, the first one was a 14 space. The one she was calling about was a 41 space. Wow. I said, sure, let's talk about it. And I cut the story short. She ended up selling it to me for nothing down. So she said, just take over the bank loan. She wanted a little bit more, but I'm pretty good at negotiating. So I said, eventually, hey, you are having trouble with this park. You live 3 hours away. You don't want to deal with it. The only way I'm going to take it over for you is if you just let me take over the bank loan. So I got my first two parks with nothing down, just assuming the loans that they had on the parks. So
And you assumed that loan as well?
I did.
Was it the same bank?
Same bank.
Oh my gosh. That we're gonna have to call that bank and find out what else they have going on. Mobile home park wise. Right, yeah. Wow, that's amazing. Wow, small world. Just absolutely small world. That's incredible.
And so, how's that been being a mobile home park owner?
Yeah, I'd love to say it was all roses, but it's been really hard actually. You learn a lot, and so I think one of the things that I've learned is if I ever buy a property like that, whether it's a mobile home park or a apartment complex or something, you need to have the funds to turn them around if they need to be turned around. So either buy one that's stabilized and running smoothly, or if you're going to buy one distressed, then have the funds to turn them around. So, we had all kinds of problems. We had a manager who probably stole six figures worth of funds from us over a period of time. A druggie, but I just learned a bunch of stuff about what not to do.
Yeah.
But a valuable learning experience nonetheless. And so I think for my next acquisition, I'm going to make sure that they meet certain criteria before I jump in.
Mm-hmm. Now you said you took a class and you mentioned their name. Was that class worth it? I mean, did you gain enough knowledge that it made you comfortable to at least go into the space and start investing? Because I know once you get into it, and Alex and I have talked about it a lot, it's one thing to read something or have somebody teach you. It's a way other thing to actually get into the deal and start doing it.
100% different.
Yeah.
So I think they give you tons of knowledge and advice, but you really don't know anything until you do it, like you said.
Right.
So on one hand, I'd highly recommend the course because it's informative and they give you a lot of support. So Frank Rolfe is the guy who teaches it, and he actually gives out his phone number and says, if you need any help, call me.
Nice.
I've actually done that before.
Nice.
But you don't really learn until you do it. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I teach people how to flip. I'm teaching Alex and his wife, Lauren, how to flip. And, obviously I do the same thing. Alex was kind enough to do these podcasts, and we do a lot of YouTube stuff as well. So that's kind of his, give and take to what I give to him. But I do the same thing. I give my number out to people and, here, call me if you have any issues or questions. I actually had another person I met through Bigger Pockets, because I meet a lot of people through Bigger Pockets, called me over the weekend, said, Joe, hey, you remember me? I bought you lunch, and I like when people buy me lunch or coffee. And he said, yeah, we ended up buying a place, my partner and I, and it's a triplex in Los Angeles. And I go, okay, why are you calling? Well, it was over a year ago, and we're like a month or two away from completing it, but my contractor is kind of ghosting me. Yeah, can you help me? And I said, okay, what do you want me to do? I mean, I can meet the contractor at the property, find out what's going on. I go, how much have you paid him? He goes, well, we kind of put it on automatic, so we actually overpaid him at this point. I go, oh, God, you didn't listen to me. You didn't follow my instructions. I've got a whole course out there on how to flip properties. Obviously, you missed that part of it. But anyways, we're trying to set something up so that I go out there and try to put everybody back on the same page so that he gets this thing done. But I think he's at the same boat that, he said he's just going to toss his hands up in the air and say, forget it, I'm done. Just like, here, just sell it the way it is, and nobody's going to buy it the way it is because it's not done. It's it's permitted, everything's being done. It's just not done. So it's just like he's going to take a bath if he sells it the way it is. So hopefully I'll get him over that hump and either put it on the market, or what he originally planned was to rent them out.
Do you go and locate the contractor and then extract the money from
Yeah,
him?
no, he's in talking, terms with the contractor and stuff. It's just that the contractor, just like every other contractor out there, sorry if you're a contractor, but every other contractor, it's like, I'm not going to Alex's place today. I'm going to James's. And Alex is not bothering me on the phone, so tomorrow I'm going to James's, because James is calling me on the phone saying, hey, you said you were going to get this done. It's not done. Let's get it done. And plus, James hasn't paid me yet. So I need to finish his job so I can get paid, so then I can go back and reach out to Alex. And unfortunately, that's just the way it is. So I'm hoping to put everybody back on the same page, get this thing done, and move along. If not, then I'll supply him with one of my contractors to get the job done, because, just sitting there not doing anything right now is like ridiculous.
Yeah, you got to see it through. Right at the end, too. That's when they do that.
Yeah.
That's when they decided to get the new job.
Well, and speaking of that, what was your hardest deal? I mean, either flip-wise, contractor-wise, you didn't make enough money at the end of the day. All these are kind of, learning things for me. Mm-hmm. What was your hardest deal?
I think the hardest deals have dealt with evictions. So this is California, it's a tenant friendly state as opposed to Indiana. So I've had flips where I purchased it with a squatter, and then you have to formally evict the squatter.
Mm-hmm.
I've had people who I've had to take to court who are crying and screaming, literally screaming at me in the courthouse, telling everyone I'm an evil person.
Yeah,
been there.
We've been there.
Okay, that was my first time, and I was kind of freaked out.
It sucks.
Alex, he always pushes me up there. He goes, "Here, you go up there. You go up there." Yeah, just go up there.
They still looked back at me though from the seat. They looked
Alex is usually the front person in our deals, so they're used to dealing with Alex. But when it comes to the eviction, he pushes me in front. And I get the same things. It's like, you're heartless. It's like, we have no money. It's like, sorry, we're here, because we have nothing, and you're heartless, and it is what it is.
So the last one I did, it was for a property out in Pinion Hills where the parents, they were elderly folks, but the adult daughter was living with them for free. And she was the one screaming and saying, you're going to kick my parents out Anyways, the funny thing is they eventually moved out, and then I got a text from the daughter saying that you basically killed my mom because the move took so much out of her, and she's dead. She died, and she was blaming it on me.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
Dude.
that didn't feel
Yeah.
great.
That's not a good text.
Yeah, that's not a good text.
I know. It's
No,
even though
it's
you
just
know
like
it's,
I could tell Alex, this is business. You just have to look at it as business.
it's like
Because if you start going down into those type of weeds, it's like, we're all human. Everybody's got a heart, This lady that we just finished the process of evicting, and you're right, it's a tenant-friendly state, and she's got like 20 more days left on what was
no.
given to her. 10 more days?
Yeah.
Okay, 10 more days before the sheriff comes and actually removes her. She had been renting this place, and it's like a 4 or 5 bedroom house, had been renting this place to people that, have drug addictions or down and out and all that stuff. And she's collecting money from them and collecting money from the state.
Yeah.
Okay. But she didn't have any money to, because we said, you want to rent it, then here, this is what the rental amount is. She didn't have any money to rent it to us, It's like, and she comes to court and, she cries poor mouth and all that stuff. And it's like, we didn't even actually bring any of that stuff up because, I've been dealing with evictions for over 40 years. And it's pretty much, once you get to that point, the judges are pretty much on your side. They're going to say, okay, Joe, you want to give them like 30 days, to move out, not next week, but 30 days. Yeah. Okay. And in this case, she got frustrated and she literally got up and left before the judge came back and said, okay, we're going to give you 40 days and you have to pay them back rent of $10,000 because that's all we could collect here in California. Mm-hmm. And then the judge goes, plus we're going to give Joe another $1,000. And then the clerk goes, oh, time out. You can't do that. You can only give him 10. And the judge looks at me and she goes, what do you want to do? And I go, don't worry about the 1,000. Okay. Just put a judgment in for 10 because I know we're never going to collect it. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then that's what happened in that case. But she got upset. Not at Alex. She got upset at me.
Well, that's where you find some of the deals, though, right? Is taking over those problems for people.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, tell us about your best flip now. What was like your biggest profit, juiciest?
Probably the one I just did maybe 6 months ago, where I purchased it for $270. This is the one I was telling you about at lunch, where they called me up from one of my postcards and they asked for $400,000. And I said, okay, I'll look into it. And some people forget to hang up the phone. So sometimes if I stay on, I could hear them having a conversation with their spouse.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that's
so
good.
So the wife says, how'd it go? And he says, well, he didn't hang up the phone when I asked for $400,000. So I knew that they were negotiable. So I call him back and I say, I can do 3. And he says, okay, but the only caveat is that my son is living there and he's going to move up to where they are in Washington at the end of the year. So we need to wait 4 or 5 months before we close the deal. And I was saying, during those 4 or 5 months, it was like 3 or 4 rate hikes. So I call him like a month before we close and I say, hey, we got to renegotiate this because I think the price has dropped. He knows what's going on. So I said, just give me a 10% discount off the price, which is $30,000. And he agreed. So I bought it for $270. I probably put 9 or 10 into it and I sold it for $435.
Woo!
Just pretty good deal.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. And that, that's a perfect example of negotiating until the end. I talk to Alex about this all the time. We had this Huntington Beach deal, which we are getting ready to put back in escrow, and we literally negotiated until the last minute. And this was a deal where it was in foreclosure. It was going to sale on a Monday, and we get this thing under contract on the Tuesday or Wednesday before. Mm-hmm. Tuesday before, after months of negotiating with this guy, and he's got about 250,000 equity in there, so he stands to lose that stuff. But he wasn't listening, and so finally, I grabbed Alex and we literally went down there with a contract Tuesday night and said, if he doesn't sign this now, he's not going to make it. So even then, I was doubtful. So he signed the contract Wednesday. We notified escrow, we notified title, and of course something else comes back on the title, which he didn't tell us about, but he was aware of. And so it's literally just negotiating. It was like 50,000 owed to an ex, and I go, well, that's not coming out of our side. You have to tell him that's coming out of his side. And sure enough, he agreed to that. So negotiating is very important, and we negotiate all the way up to the end. And that's funny that you you sit there on the phone with them, because if they don't hang up, you're right. You can listen to their conversation.
I'm going to use that now.
That's awesome.
Genius.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Wow. So you put $10,000 into that one for like the rehab? Yeah. Wow.
I don't do like really heavy rehabs. But
Okay.
I do the light ones most of the time.
Oh, wow. Okay. So what's like your go-to? Just paint and...
It depends, but a lot of times it's just the lipstick on a pig type of stuff.
Okay.
Just paint it, put new flooring. If it needs roof work, that usually costs more, but
Sure.
it's a big deal to sell a house that has a good roof on it. So
Right.
we do that, but we're typically not doing complete like what do you call them, cut jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
one of those.
And that's kind of important because as you're providing sort of an investment for the private money lenders to know that you're not going to be going in there taking it down to the studs, because that's when things can get squirrely as you pull the walls apart, you start noticing different things, budget goes up. It's got to be like a pretty quick turnaround.
Yeah, and time is money. So every
Right.
month that you're not selling it, you're paying the investor interest, and sometimes if you're in a park, you're paying the park
Right.
space rent. So it adds up pretty quick.
Nice. Okay. So do you have like a timeline? Like you want to be under this?
No, each property is different.
Okay.
So I've held on to property for over a year, not because I wanted to.
Right.
It just works out that way, and so you got to treat each property separately. But the goal is always to sell it as fast as possible.
Gotcha. Do you see yourself continuing in the mobile home space?
Yeah, I love mobile homes. They've been good to me. I tried single family. I tried. I've done okay back when I first started in 2005 when everything was easier. But mobile homes is just a great niche to be in. They are not as competitive. You can make huge profits like the one I just told you about. So there's no reason for me to do anything else.
Yeah, I love that.
And we were talking at lunch, your kind of business model as well. You are a licensed real estate agent, but you don't necessarily use your license. So you work with licensed agents in these areas, and you get them to do a lot of your stuff for you. You were mentioning that. So can you walk us through what that looks like?
Yeah, so anytime I scout like a new area, I will look at what has sold that's similar nearby, and then I'll call that agent up and say, hey, can you look at this property? I'm going to buy it, and I'm looking to use someone like you to sell it. And then I usually do that with at least 3 different agents. So I get a good sense of, if someone says, okay, I'll take a look at it and get back to you tomorrow, and it takes them a week, I usually say, that's not my guy.
Yeah.
If they get back to me and do everything they say, then we'll start talking a little bit more. They give me a quick, inaccurate rundown of what they think the value is based on. If it's not really clean and it's not really accurate, then I toss them. But then it usually I'll ask them to do something. So it's like, hey, I'm not able to get out there this week. Do you think you could swing by and take a couple pictures for me? If they're willing to do that, it's a good sign. So long story short is I find someone who's kind of willing to go the extra mile for me and to basically do almost everything other than the rehab job. So I even have them go and meet the sheriff to evict a tenant. They'll go out and they'll do the dirty work for me in that case.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, kind of what Alex does. Same thing. Yeah, he's back there with the camera, and I'm with the sheriff, and we're doing the eviction. Yeah, yeah. So all of you that are agents that are out there and they're listening to this conversation, here's a perfect lead for you. Especially if you work mobile homes. If you work mobile homes and you know something that's coming up, you should be on the phone with James saying, hey, this might be a good property for you to flip. The more expertise you bring to the table, so you have contractors that are ready to go in that area, They're able to do whatever needs to be done to get it from point A to point Z. This is your man. This is the guy you need to reach out to. That's a good business model to have, because they do all that for you. Then you give them the listing, and obviously they're making money on that as well. And depending on where they are sourcing these properties, they may end up selling you a property that they have listed as well. If it's off market, if it's one of your deals, then obviously they're going to think, okay, well, and they know that they're going to get the listing at the end of the day. So that works out for them. That's awesome. And I'm glad you're vetting them the way you're vetting them, because you're right. Sometimes people are a little bit lazier than they should be, and they don't do what they say. And those are the ones you toss to the side and move on to the ones that are hungry and want to do something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Awesome. So what about investing in general? Where you see yourself going, 5-10 years in the future?
Well, that's kind of why I'm looking to expand my private lending base, because I think that I'll be honest with you guys, I work probably 10 to 15 hours a week right now. And a lot of my friends are always like, do you ever work? And I just don't need to do that much, frankly.
Do you ever work? They're like
because we golf every week, and,
nice.
Whenever I say I can't golf, they're like, what's wrong? And I'm like,
I've got a deal.
So I guess my point is I want to expand my private lending base so I can kind of ramp up what I'm doing. I was telling you guys that my wife jumped in the business because she realizes how powerful real estate is. So I got someone to help me now, and I have time and the capacity. So I think I could at least double what I'm doing now.
Awesome.
So instead of 10 flips, I could probably do 20, but
there you go.
From there I could probably do more. I don't know.
Awesome.
And are you just looking to stay in this area?
As far as location?
Yeah.
It's been fruitful so far.
Okay.
But funny enough, my son is actually looking to join the business. He's about to turn 18 and graduate.
Oh, okay.
So he's sending out, I told him, don't touch the areas that I work. I don't want to
He's competing with you, yeah.
Right.
That's awesome.
He actually found some areas in Nevada that he's starting to mail to, and
Okay.
no deals yet, but hopefully soon.
Awesome. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, you have a great business plan, It's like, you're right. You don't need to go out to these properties and stuff. You just find a local real estate agent that is willing to do everything that you need. And I know Alex does that. Yeah. He wholesales in Florida, and he does the same thing. Yeah. He doesn't flip over there, but after talking to James and having lunch, it's like, yeah, maybe that's the next step, is to start flipping. Is that okay, Lauren, that he flips in Florida? You want to go to Florida? She's got thumbs up. She's got thumbs up back there. So, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, I know Alex does virtual wholesaling. I think you've done a couple flips too. And what I do might as well be virtual. Yeah. Because I almost never sell property.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
And it's kind of wild how you can get away with that in this day and age, but it works.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Well, I've been kind of dropping your name and email. Is that the best way for people to get a hold of you if they want to invest with you?
For now, I think my wife is going to build us a social media page, so that'll change, but for now.
Perfect. Okay, awesome. There you have it, you guys. Mobile home investing, flipping Southern California. Reach out to James and get in on the action. He knows what he's doing. So there's a perfect investment opportunity right there while everything else is tanking as far as investments. So bet on James. As always, we have a meetup coming up next Monday. So we want to see you guys there if you're in the Orange County area. And please share this podcast far and wide with your friends, anyone new or experienced as far as their investing goes, and reach out to us. Anything else, Joe?
And definitely reach out to James. He's got a wealth of knowledge, and he's a nice guy, and he's willing to share that because obviously he's here. Yeah. So he's willing to share all that. And it's just literally just a phone call. And, if you haven't seen the podcast, he'll walk you through what he's doing and stuff. So thank you for that. I appreciate that. I love when people share what they're doing and how they're doing it, because at the end of the day, we can share this with 100 people and maybe 2 or 3 will actually take action on it, which is kind of depressing, but it is what it is, So please reach out to James.
Awesome. Thanks for being here, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
If you want some more advice on real estate investing, reach out to us one-on-one.